You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/day to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/day for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
For the second time this week, we go to Katie McFarland. You know, of course, she worked for 4 presidents, most recently President Trump. She's on Fox News all the time, and she's here every Friday. KT, good Friday morning. How are you?
Oh, it's great to be with you. Thank you.
It's great to have you. Today's the big day. Trump, he left, I think, at about 8:05, so he's in the air now for about 49 minutes on his trip from Washington, D.C. to Alaska to meet with Putin. So here we go. Now, I had Rubio on this week. I know you heard it. He said, look, it's like a feeling out process, this meeting. He doesn't expect anything substantial to get done. I think Trump kind of uttered the same thing when he said, look, if nothing gets done, I'm leaving. I'm going back to D.C. But if something does get done, then maybe we'll do it for a second time with Zelensky. What are your thoughts on what to expect in Alaska later today?
I think President Trump's keeping his options open. And I've been trying to really think this through of why is Trump different? I mean, I've worked for 4 presidents, as you kindly pointed out. I've been in the Situation Room with all 4 of them, going back to Nixon. And Trump is really different. And that's why he's been able to succeed where everybody else has failed. And all of these, 6, 7 peace agreements he's gotten in the last 200 days. The reason he's different is because he approaches everything as a New York real estate developer, not a politician. A real estate developer, he's got to build the building. It doesn't make any money until that building is built. Up until that time, he's just got costs and expenses. You know, he's got to buy the land, he's got to service the debt, got to buy the construction equipment, he's got to hire the people. And so he's got to, time is of the essence, time is money. And then the second thing is that he doesn't know what problems he's going to encounter along the way to build a building. You know, it could have bad weather, could have labor disputes, it could have political problems, licensing issues. So he's got to improvise. He's got to be nimble. And he's got to be creative. And he's got to say, well, if this doesn't work, I'll try something else. And he may have to pivot a couple of times. Sometimes it's not even very pretty to watch. But he gets the building built. That's the thing that's so different, because politicians, they may want to build a building, but they don't ever want to pivot. They don't ever want to change. They're going to double down. They don't have plan A, B, C, D. I think Trump has plan A, B, C, D, E. And plan A was to get them both to the negotiating table with Trump's charm and personality, and that didn't work. So he's on plan B, force Ukraine and Russia to the negotiating table with economic and military pressure. It worked for Ukraine, didn't work for Russia. So he's now on to plan C. And that's when he says, you know, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. And if it does work, great. He'll pursue that. He'll get them both to the negotiating table and do a deal. But if it doesn't work, he'll be on to plan D. And plan D is probably severe and serious economic consequences for Russia to force them to the negotiating table.
Doesn't seem to care. I mean, I thought what you did just now was brilliant. That was really, really thoughtful and really great, KD, taking his experience as a builder and making it work here in this political environment. That was really tremendous, but Putin doesn't seem to care. You could sanction him all day, every day. He is bloodthirsty. I don't know, this thing with Ukraine, this is it. I don't think if his people died in the streets of starvation, if they had no money, because look, he ain't going to be poor. Putin, he ain't going to be poor, but this is in his blood. He's insane with this.
Oh, I think you're absolutely right. So how do you prevent him from doing what he wants to do, which is to recreate the Soviet Empire? Take away his money, bankrupt him. You know, the reason that Alaska is no longer owned by Russia was because in 1867 Russia had to sell Alaska to America to pay for the Crimean War debts. So fast forward, if President Trump does impose crippling sanctions, basically he'll prevent Russia from selling oil or natural gas abroad. And that's 75% of Russia's income. Now, if they don't have that income, they can't afford to pay for a war. They can't buy bullets. They can't buy drones. They can't feed their people. They certainly can't prosecute an expensive war. So that's another way to do it. If you're not going to charm and personality Putin's way into anything, but you could bludgeon his way into it by taking away his ability to make war.
You know, it's funny, 4 years before Trump, if the Biden administration would do something, they'd get, just stuck on something, and that would be it. And, this is a pretty big meeting today. It's two of the most powerful men in the world. Trump is number one, and Putin not far behind. But that's not it. Like, I'm watching Pam Bondi with Sean Hannity last night talking about what's going on in Washington, D.C., and that's another major story. Like, here he is, trying to keep D.C. safe and threatening New York. If Mamdani wins, I may send the National Guard there, too. So this is not a guy, he can multitask. He could be in Alaska today and keeping some of our, big sanctuary cities safe in America. Pretty amazing.
And he also doesn't get as he says, I don't get the yips. The yips is this term in golf where you get your, a head game and you get you just can't even hit the ball. Trump he just doesn't blink. He's not afraid of anybody. He's not afraid of anything. And so even though, they tried to kill him, they tried to impeach him twice, they've gone after him with the phony, Russia, and he still prevails. So I think that's the real difference, is that he's got extraordinary tenacity and personal and physical personal courage. The other thing that the big tell I'm going to see today in the meeting is, do they meet? What's that first picture Trump and Putin? Trump, Donald Trump's a big guy. He's real tall. He's got hugely broad shoulders. He's got a long leg. He just looks like another species. Putin is probably a foot or so shorter.
Yep.
And he's slight. And so is the first picture going to be huge Donald Trump, huge, powerful America Donald Trump welcoming little guy Putin to an American military base? I think that's one of the reasons you rarely saw pictures of the two of them standing up. They were always sitting down, and that would minimize Putin's physical disadvantage. But President Trump, he's a showman, he understands that visual image is going to be really important. So I'm going to watch. If Trump already owns the room from that first photograph, then I think Donald Trump is going to own the negotiation, for good or ill. Plan C, Plan D, just going to get the building built.
So in the final 30 seconds, if he does, quote unquote, own the negotiation, right, he does what he wants to do, then we could expect a meeting too with Zelensky and maybe some type of ceasefire. What's realistic to expect?
If Putin wants, so Trump says, I'm going to tell within a couple of minutes whether Putin's serious. If Putin is serious, is willing to negotiate in good faith, I think they follow it up, within a week, within a couple of days, where then Zelensky's brought in and the two guys can hammer it out of who gets what and who gets to keep what and who has to give up what. If it doesn't work, then I think President Putin walks away, but Donald Trump walks away first and then imposes significant, serious economic sanctions on Russia. Trump doesn't want to do that because he's looking way past Ukraine. He's looking at, can we have a relationship with Russia which peels Russia away from China's orbit?
Yeah, where are we with China? I brought China up with Marco Rubio, and I asked him, frankly, aren't they still the most dangerous nation? And, you don't hear about them every day unless you bring Gordon Chang on like I do a couple of times a week. But, they got their tentacles with Russia. They got their tentacles with Iran. They've got their tentacles with North Korea. All the terrorist nations around the world doing horrible things. China's in bed with all of them. And by the way, China's here. They got their nationalists here in the United States ready to do bad things, and they got boats outside of Taiwan. So we don't mention China every day, but they still loom very, very large when you look down the road as a possible real nightmare for America.
Yeah, there are really two things. One, China is the only strategic threat to the United States, but China and Russia combined, that's tough for us. The other thing is that what does China want out of this? They want this war to go on forever. They want to have the world distracted from China. For 20 years, while we fought those forever wars in the Middle East, we took our eye off the ball, and China did all the things that China's done, right? It's all of a sudden leaped into the 21st century and is trying to challenge us on every aspect of competition: economic, political, diplomatic, technological, military. because we didn't pay attention. China would love us to continue to be preoccupied with Ukraine. They'd love this war to go on forever.
You are so right. KT, I love you. Not once, but twice this week. You were great. Thank you so much. I look very much forward to talking to you next week after this meeting. Maybe we can do once or twice next week, too, okay?
Sounds good.
Thank you, KT.
Thank you.
What a great job. KT McFarland. Let's get her on Monday, Justin, if she can do it.
Yeah.
Talk about her thoughts post-meeting. Well, she is terrific. Fox News loves her. Trump loves her. For president. She worked for Ronald Reagan and President Trump. Enough said.
And she, by the way, she's hilarious.
I know.
So I'm on the phone with her before we're heading in, and I go, listen, we're running a little bit late here on the Sid and Friends. She goes, am I talking to the Sid and Friends in the Morning program here, or what do you mean you're running late?
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
If you're a lineman in charge of keeping the lights on, Grainger understands that you go to great lengths and sometimes heights to ensure the power is always flowing, which is why you can count on Grainger for professional-grade products and next-day delivery, so you have everything you need to get the job done. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.